Hey viewers, my name's Cara. Today I want to talk about gratitude, which is probably somewhere in the title of this video or the entire title. I don't know yet, I haven't decided. But before I get to that main topic of this video, I want to give you a few updates, announcements, news, stuff like that. So firstly, you will notice that my previous video on this channel, or maybe just the previous one on Pagan Perspective, I can't even remember. I can't keep track of anything. And this video are direct uploads with no edits. That is because although my partner and I did finally get our new computer and I got the new version of my favorite editing software and everything like that, last month we were having a very specific issue with our brand new computer, so it had to be sent back to the company that built it for us. They tried to help us out over the phone, wipe the system, reinstall the operating software, stuff like that, operating system. And we thought that would solve the problem. It didn't. And so they said we had to send it back to them. So it is currently out for repairs. And until we get it back, which will be at least 2 weeks, we're hoping no longer than that. But I'm anticipating it might take a little longer. You know, you never know. But at least 2 weeks, we will not have our computer. So we cannot use it for streaming. I cannot use my good editing software. So rather than making the little minor edits and adjustments that I could do with the YouTube Studio Editor, which unfortunately then takes forever to process even just a few minor changes to a video, I will probably just go back to the direct upload route for now because it is quicker, since I don't have to wait forever just to cut out one or two little things. So that's why you'll notice my next few videos on this channel and on the Pagan Perspective collab channel, where I am the Tuesday regular week host, they are going to be unedited, most likely. So yeah, there's that, which is kind of an unfortunate thing, but you know, I'd rather get it solved so that we can use it, use our computer and all of its functions and features the way it's supposed to be. So that's been really annoying this past month trying to figure out what was wrong with it. So we're just getting it fixed, getting it taken care of. What else? I just posted on Instagram today and shared it to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/cutewitch772, instagram.com/cutewitch772, that my next couple of classes or workshops, depending on how you see these terms, at the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, which is in the old Brooklyn neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio, are up and ready. They're on the Buckland Museum webpage. You can now buy tickets for them if you're local or within traveling distance and want to come join us for those. October 6th, 2019, I will be doing a workshop on pendulums, and so these are both Sundays, and on Sunday, October 13th, I will be doing a workshop on scrying, and the 13th happens to be the full moon, and the full moon moment, syzygy, the alignment, that 100% illuminated full moon moment actually happens right around 5 p.m., which is when the class will be starting. We didn't plan that, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, my next couple of classes upcoming are now posted. You can read about them. I've also been posting some updates about my next Saturn Returns course, which I mentioned in my video last week here on this channel. My Saturn Returns course next round is ready to go. We're going to be starting that in October as well, and it's a 4-month online course, so it will go through October, November, December, and January. And then next year, we'll be starting to transition into Saturn in Aquarius type things. So when I offer the course again next year, which hopefully I'll do multiple times, not just one time per year, we will be focusing on Saturn in Aquarius, as opposed to right now, Saturn is in Capricorn, so that's what we've been focusing on. So yeah, things that you can see on my Instagram/Facebook page, typically more so on my Instagram, but yeah. And then on my Patreon as well. If you're sponsoring me on Patreon, or if you follow my Patreon, you can also get updates anytime I post something on that page that is visible to the public without actually pledging to be one of the sponsors. If you just follow it, if you create an account on there and follow me on there, you can see whatever I post that's public. Like when I post these videos. Might work better than the YouTube subscription notifications for all I know. So yeah, those are just a few updates for you, and I think that's it. So now, 5 minutes into our video, we can start talking about the topic. So I could not for the life of me decide what to talk about this week. Again, this is a problem that I have a lot. I could attribute it to my Gemini moon, my indecision, my trouble in making decisions, but it's something that I'm working on for sure. A lot of people tend to think that my issue, when I say like, I don't know what to do a video about, a lot of people think that that means I don't have any ideas, and so if you just give me some ideas, then I'll know what to do. I actually have the opposite problem. My opposite problem is that I have an abundance of ideas at any given time. I have a plethora of topics in my head to talk about, and it's just deciding which one is the right topic to talk about right now. You know, as far as what's going on in my life, what's going on in the world, how I feel, what I feel like I want to talk about that day, you know. So there's a ton of things I could have talked about today. And I went back to the idea of gratitude because I realized that a lot of the other things that I wanted to potentially talk about today, which I will probably talk about in the future, it's just getting to them one at a time so I don't post a 3-hour-long video talking about a bunch of different things. I realized that all of those different things have elements of things that I'm grateful for within them. And a while ago, like I think a couple of months ago maybe, I don't know, you know my sense of time is wibbly wobbly, but I think a couple of months ago a friend of mine had asked me about establishing a gratitude practice and what does that mean when people in the general witchy community online are talking about gratitude. What is that? What does that mean? So, being that I have a lot of things to be grateful for right now and have been thinking about that a lot, and that someone asked me a while ago, what the heck does that mean when you hear people talk about having a gratitude practice, I thought this would be a nice thing to just kind of chat about. So you might have heard me talk about this already a little bit, especially I think in my video on this channel where I talked about, I kind of did like a show and tell a little bit, and talked about my witchy journals and the various ways that I record elements of my practice. One of the things that I showed was this little book with sort of neon blue edges that I got at the dollar store when I was working with a spiritual coach a couple of years ago who encouraged me to start a gratitude practice of sorts, but they encouraged me to write down daily things in my life that I was happy about, that created joy in my life, you know, that sparked joy. That's not how they put it, but that's another thing that you may have heard recently or been hearing. But they put it in terms of manifestation. So really, they didn't ask me to start a gratitude journal. They talked about doing it as a manifestation journal. So not just what am I grateful for, but opening it up to things that are showing up in our lives that we might not consciously think we had anything to do with. You know, it might just be something that happens in the world around us, but that we see, that we witness, that we experience, observe, and that we appreciate, and that brings positive energy into our life. And thinking of that in terms of magic by saying, okay, this thing appeared just in the world. I didn't have anything directly to do with it in my life, but it made me happy, or whatever, positive emotion. It brought positivity into my life today. So thinking of that in terms of, I manifested this in my life, you know, again, maybe not directly, but through putting out into the universe that certain things would make us happy or bring us joy. And then maybe you're having a bad day and you decide to go for a walk and you see an animal or a plant or a person or just a location, or maybe it's a specific type of weather that day that you love, and that just makes it like, oh, this is perfect. Now I feel so much better because the universe knows I like certain things and it put that thing in my path. And then you might think to yourself, I manifested this. You know, that's the idea of doing it as a manifestation journal. You would frame it in your own mind as, this is what I manifested in my life today. So again, they're not things that you necessarily did anything specifically. You might not have done a ritual to ask for the perfect weather day that you love so much. But yeah, just thinking of the things that happen in our lives that we might be grateful for as things that through our life, through our practice, that maybe we've manifested for ourselves. So that's how I got into the habit of doing this. But it is also a gratitude type of practice. So when my friend asked me, how do you do a gratitude practice? There are multiple ways you can do this, right? So it could be the taking a walk and noticing things that make you happy and silently saying to yourself in that moment, or acknowledging it out loud, that I'm really grateful for this. I'm really glad that this just happened. I'm glad that the weather is this way today. I'm glad that I ran into that person, or so happy I saw my favorite neighborhood cat today, or, you know, whatever it is. And it can be something that seems silly. You know, it might be like, gosh, I love how comfortable my grandma's old sweaters are, and I'm so grateful that I am able to have these now that I don't have her in my life. I'm so grateful that we wear the same size and I can wear a lot of her clothing items and that they bring me such comfort and warmth and joy. You know, it can be, you know, I love the way my hair looks today. That's not necessarily true for me today, but I'm saying it can be things like that. Anything that makes you happy. And so it can be silently acknowledging those things, or it can be physically writing them down. And this is, I think, what a lot of people talk about when they talk about having a gratitude practice is daily, first thing in the morning, last thing before you go to bed, or throughout the day as they come up, actually writing things down that you're grateful for. Something that I thought was interesting one time is I heard someone say, and I do not remember who this was. I apologize, but this was not my original idea. I heard it or read it somewhere. I don't remember where. But I heard someone say, if you think of it in terms of, you know, because some people might think, well, I don't really have a lot to be grateful for at the moment. You know, maybe you're going through a rough time. You're like, I'm not really grateful for anything right now. Or you just struggle to figure out what are the things in your life that you are grateful for. I heard someone say, think of it in terms of if your gratitude journal or whatever were a special effects TV type movie magic type book, and whatever you wrote down in it would be guaranteed to stay in your life and keep making you happy and bringing you joy or whatever it does for you. And anything you didn't write down would be gone the next day. What would you want to acknowledge today that you are so grateful for having in your life? Now, I think if you're doing a daily gratitude practice and you're trying to write down all of those things in your life, you know, which can be, you know, you would start with even basics like, I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful for the food on my table. I am grateful for, you know, basic things about life and health and our daily needs. Like, I'm grateful for my eyesight. I'm grateful for the invention of eyeglasses so that I maintain my good eyesight, even though my eyes themselves, you know, they need a little bit of help. You know, all of those sort of mundane things or really basic things would go in that, right? Because I wouldn't want that to disappear the next day. And so I feel like if you tried to do that every single day, you would only be writing things down 24 hours of the day. So I think if you decide to put it in a notebook, a physical copy, maybe you do that as a specific exercise. Start with that and write down all of those things. And then think of it in terms of, I don't have to write it down every single day because I've already written it in this book. So then you don't necessarily have to write the same things every single day. And periodically read back through those things. Remind yourself of those basic things that you are really grateful for. Now that said, because I was doing this every day for a month, that's what I challenged myself to do. I don't typically do things daily for any long amount of time. I have trouble with that personally, but I did accomplish doing this every day for 1 month. So that was pretty cool. But I did write down some of the same things every day. So very often, every single day would say something about being grateful for my partner, being grateful for my cat, being grateful for, you know, whatever little things that maybe I do come across every day, because every day they made me happy. You know, I manifested this thing in my life every day and it's still here. So I did do that. I did repeat some things, but you don't necessarily have to, because again, I feel like that would just, you would spend all your time writing. So that's up to you how you do that. But I thought that was a good sort of idea anyway, that like if we're not regularly acknowledging the things that we're grateful for, we can lose perspective. And in the really tough times, we might start thinking, I don't really have a lot to be grateful for right now, because we're expecting the things that we're grateful for to be big, flashy, wonderful things, and we forget some of the basic things that in many ways we are privileged to have, because not everyone has the same basic things in life. So if we forget to acknowledge those things for ourselves, we can lose perspective, you know? So it's up to you how you do that. But yeah, to give you an example, one of the days, so this was actually, Valentine's Day of 2018. I wrote down that it was just bullet points of what I manifested today or what I'm grateful for. My partner, my cat, my ancestors, healing connections, listening for and to their messages, tea, love, and synchronicity. Those are the things that I wrote down for one of the days. Well, actually a couple days before that, because this is not the time that I was doing it every single day for a month, but I kept this up sort of semi-regularly for a while. So a couple days before that, I had written down my partner, my cat, friends who stick up for you, friends who listen, a good day at work, my physical, mental, financial, spiritual, and emotional well-being, and I put well-being in capitals, opportunities to educate, opportunities to learn, and so much less anxiety in my everyday life now that we had moved. That's what that was. There was another day that I wrote playing cat's cradle with my grandma. This was before she passed away. Playing cat's cradle with my grandma. Making funny faces with my grandma for my Instagram story. I scrubbed the shower this week, so it's nice and shiny and clean. Yeah, stuff like that just like makes you feel good. Like, I manifested a clean shower through my direct hard work and cleaning, you know. New fuzzy leggings, occasional support from good friends that I met online, you know, so anything like that. And the cool thing about writing it down is that you can do what I'm doing right now, which is going back and looking at, you know, this is what I was grateful for a year and a half ago. Like, I might have forgotten about that day playing cat's cradle with my grandma at her house. And especially now that she's gone, that's something that I want to remember, those little moments. And just by reading that listed here, I remember that whole, you know, visit at her house, basically. And I remember making funny faces with her on my Instagram story and her laughing at me because she doesn't understand what I'm doing, and, you know, with the phone, she's like, what are you doing? So, yeah, stuff like that. So I do recommend having things written down, even if you don't do it every day. You know, I did it every day for a month, and then I do it off and on after that. But I still think it's cool, because even if you don't do the practice constantly, you can go back and look at things. But it doesn't have to be physically written down. If that's something that you don't have time for or you have no interest in doing, it doesn't have to be that. It can be silently to yourself, like I said, or it can also be something that maybe you set up a daily ritual if you have an altar or anything like that. Maybe every day at some point you find time to light a candle or light some incense or just sit there and meditate and go through the things that you're grateful for in that moment that you can think of that day. Maybe you don't do it every day. Maybe you do it weekly. Maybe you do it monthly. Maybe you do it at specific times of the year. You know, just whatever works for you as far as frequency and as far as the type of thing you do, writing it down, saying it out loud, silently to yourself, at an altar, or, you know, making it a more formalized practice by doing it at an altar or in your favorite chair once a week or whatever while you're having your morning cup of coffee or tea or whatever you want to do. Or if it's something that you get in the habit of doing in the moment as you are living your life, driving down the road and you see something that makes you happy and you just think to yourself or say out loud, "Thank you, universe, I'm so grateful for that," or whoever or whatever you want to thank. For me, it's typically the universe, or it might be something more specific like "Thank you, grandma," or "Thank you to my ancestors," or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because I think that it's something that is pretty simple, but it can be a little bit complicated in the way that there are many, many ways that you can do it. And so for people who might be new to the concept or just haven't really heard people talk about what it means, it can seem a little bit confusing because maybe someone said like, "Oh, you should do a gratitude practice." And you're like, what the heck does that mean? So to me, that's what it means. Those are some of the basic ways that you can bring it into your life. And again, it's just something that if you want to do it can be beneficial. It's by no means something that all of us have to be doing. And I just think it's helpful and beneficial and something good to do for the reasons that I said in this video. So I won't recap that all for you. But yeah, for example, right now in my life, in addition to all the basics, I'm grateful for my partner, my fur babies, my home, roof over my head, the things that make my life easier. I'm gesturing to my phone now. Grateful to all of you for your support and being part of my online community and my work. Grateful for the food on the table, the food that I get to grow myself. I have been so grateful this past couple of weeks for some very wonderful weather days here in Northeast Ohio, just like beautiful sunny days, but not too hot, not too cold. So I have been going outside more and spending time in my yard, repotting a bunch of plants, getting to know a lot of the plants that already were growing on this little tiny bit of land at the new house where I now live. Some of them are inside with me, but many are outside. So grateful that the weather has been comfortable enough to encourage me, to draw me outside and get outside more, because I love that. It helps me, it recharges me. There was one day that, you know, I went outside at 11 a.m. and at 4 p.m. I had been gardening the whole day, and you know, the next couple of days I was really sore actually, because I didn't realize how much I had been like kneeling down and standing up repeatedly, so my legs were kind of sore. But you know, that time, 11 to 4, went by like that because I was loving being outside and spending time with my plants and just in nature and enjoying the sun and the breeze and all of that. So I've been really grateful for that these past few days. Today is rainy, but I'm grateful for that too, because the plants need a drink, and I went outside in it for a little bit, and it's just like a nice little light trickle. So it's not, you know, the type of rain that would make one miserable perhaps, but it's just like nice. I'm so grateful for opportunities to do more things locally in my area. I am so grateful for having friends who are teachers, authors, priestesses, other ritual leaders of all kinds who take the time to talk with me about different things, even if we only talk online. So grateful for learning new things, meeting new people, again, even if it's just online for now, and joining with other people for causes and things that we care a lot about. Yeah, those are some of the main things really that I've been really grateful for lately. So yeah, and grateful as always to you for watching or listening and for sharing whatever you feel comfortable with sharing. So if you would like to talk about whether or not you have a gratitude practice and what it looks like for you, maybe that way people can get some different ideas of different ways that they might want to try it out for themselves. You can share your thoughts in the comments, or of course make your own video about this topic and let people know in the comments that you did that so they can go check out your video as well. That's it. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you next time. Until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.